Have you recently tried to apply for some type of credit product like a credit card or a personal loan or something like that just to be denied because of high credit utilization? Well, in today's video, I'm going to teach you 2 ways that you can possibly hide your credit utilization if you want to apply for something else in the near future. I want to welcome you back to the Starr Personal Finance channel. On this channel, I talk everything personal finance. So if this is your first time joining me, please consider being a subscriber. You guys make sure that you cut on your notifications. That way you never miss out when I upload a video or when I go live. All right. And also, guys, give this one a thumbs up. That way it gets pushed out to everybody else that might need to see this content as well. Thank you so much again. Let's get into today's video. As I was saying in the intro, sometimes when you are trying to apply for another credit card, especially a credit card, you could be denied even if you have good credit because of high credit utilization. Experience says themselves that too much debt, which is you can be denied for having too high of a credit utilization rate, also known as debt to credit ratio. This is the total amount of revolving debt you have divided by the total amount of credit you've been extended. So that means that if you have, say you got $1,000 credit limit, but you at $1,000, that means you're at 100% of your credit utilization, meaning that you are 100% maxed out. And we already know, based on videos that I already done, I did a video called Credit Utilization Matters. Well, credit utilization still matters. And if you haven't checked that video out, I'm going to link it somewhere above. But we know that credit utilization counts for 30% of our credit score. So we have to make sure that we keep that 30% or lower. And as I always tell you, you want to keep it really under 10% because that's the sweet spot. That's where you are showing that you are very responsible with your credit, especially your lines of credit, your revolving credit, your credit cards, right? So when we're keeping that below 30%, the recommended, we are maximizing that particular category of our credit score. And when I break that down in my other video, where I break down how many points each category gives us, we know credit utilization gives us 165 points towards the 850 credit score. So it's very important that we keep our credit utilization as low as possible, especially when you're trying to apply for new credit. Now, if you're not applying for anything new or you're not worrying about applying for anything, doing with your credit, then you can max your credit card out as much as you want to, and your credit score just go up and down, up and down, up and down. But if you're not actively seeking new credit, then that really doesn't matter. But if you are seeking new credit, then you want to keep that utilization down. Now, there are several ways, of course, that you can keep the utilization down, meaning one, that you can pay your cards down, pay them off, preferably, especially by the statement date. Every time the statement comes around, you want to pay that off. Why? Because it shows that you're responsible with your credit, but it also keeps you from paying interest. And you don't want to pay unnecessary interest to these credit card companies or to these banks or credit unions or whatever. So we want to make sure that we're not throwing our money away in interest. But say you got yourself into a little situation and you don't have the money to pay your credit card back off. This is what this video is going to be about today. So let's get into the first point before I talk about the second one. So with this first one, you're going to have to know when your statement date is, because that's what we're going to play with. We're going to play with your actual statement date. So if you don't know when your statement date is, I did a video showing you how to look at your Navy Fed statement, and I showed you how to look at your Capital One statement, and I will link that video if you don't know how to find your actual statement date on your actual credit card statement. So to walk you through this scenario, I'm going to pull up my iPad with a screenshot of my Navy Fed flagship, just the basic little detailed part of it if you use the Navy Fed app. So let's look at that on the screen. All right, guys, so I have my Navy Fed flagship. This is a screenshot of my card details just so I can just go through what this method is. Okay, so key things that we need to know. We need to know what our due date is, and we need to know when our statement date is. Our statement date is when it actually reports to the credit bureau. Our due date is the absolute last day that you can pay without being late, and also to avoid paying interest. So those are the two most important dates that you need when it comes down to your credit card. Now, on my flagship right here, it says that my ending date right here is 8/13 of 2024. Last statement balance was $2,939.59. So on 8/13, on August the 13th, this is what was actually reported on my credit report, $2,900. So, me knowing that, right, I can manipulate my credit utilization. So, let's go over here to my notes real quick. So, right here, where it says my due date is the 10th. Let me go ahead and change the color real quick. So, my due date is the 10th, right here. And it says that my statement date is the 13th of every month. So that means that on the 13th, they're going to report whatever my balance is at that particular time. Okay. So also what you need to know is what is 30% of whatever your credit limit is. 30% of this card for me with the $35,000 limit is $10,500. So that's key because that lets me know that at any time that I am actively trying to apply for credit, I need to make sure that I'm keeping that utilization below this 10,500 to maximize my credit score and to not look risky. That's all it's about. Maximize the credit score and not looking risky, okay? So, I want to make sure that my balance never reports over 10,500 if I'm actively seeking to apply for credit. Now, if you're not trying to buy anything, don't worry about this. Don't have this stressing you out. If you're not applying, because you can always pay your cards off, there's ebbs and flow when you're using your card, but when you are actually actively seeking credit, that's when these utilizations really do matter, because utilization can get you denied even with good credit. We already know that, right? So if you have a credit card with a $2,000 limit, and in that limit there's a balance of 1,800, that is 90% utilization. So what that screams, she's a risk, she's a risk, she's a risk, right? Because either she don't have the money to pay her card back off, or they're scared that you may default. So therefore, you never want to really max your card out. Even if you're not worried about applying for credit, it just sometimes makes the credit card company scared, especially with the rate of delinquencies that's going on right now because of a lot of people having to use their cards to live off of. So just be mindful of our economic climate that we're in that makes people get their limits cut as well. All right. So say you can't completely pay this $1,800 off on the due date. What you can do is you can pay it below 30%, as we already said. That will be $600. So 2,000 times 30% of that would be $600. So you want to make sure that you're paying it below the $600. That way you are looking responsible to the credit card company. You're also looking responsible to the credit bureau, which is going to give you a higher range in your score. Now, I always say that, 30%, but, really you want to be in the 10% range to really shoot your credit score up. Like, really, okay? But if you can't, under 30% will work, as low as under 30% as you possibly can. And as I say in here in the green, keep it low until after it reports to the credit bureau. In my case, that would be the 14th or the 15th. So we're looking at my flagship card over here. I've already said that my statement date is the 13th. So that means that I would not even try to charge again on this card until after the 14th or the 15th, just depending on if this fell on the weekend, like today. Today is Friday the 13th. So if I was going to do any new charges on this card, I probably wouldn't do it until Monday. I would give it this whole weekend and not do it till Monday, just to be on the safe side, just to make sure that that statement is going to close today as it should. All right. All right. Then once it has reported to the credit bureau, and usually when it reports to the credit bureau, you should get a notification that you have a new statement. You should get an email or something saying your new statement has arrived. Okay, that's how you're gonna know too that you got a new statement. All right. Also, you can check your credit monitoring apps and see if it has reported. Now, some credit monitoring apps are not in real time. They may not report update by every quarter, just depending on if you pay for a membership or something like that. But you can always check to see if it's actually reported and updated on your credit reports with Credit Karma and so on and so forth with those type of apps. Then once that it has reported, you can use it after then you can reuse your limit. right? Because now that it's reported, it's going to only report this lower balance instead of this higher balance up here. And that's what you want. You want it to report the lower balance and not the higher balance, right? Then, if you need to use the limit again, you can. So what you're going to do is you're going to rinse and repeat. So say after your due date and you need to pay your light bill or your cell phone bill or whatever it is that you can pay with your credit card, pay it after the statement date if you can, and then you can just put your money back in it on the due date again. Say your due date is the 10th. On the due date again, pay the card back down, get it back down, rinse and repeat every month. You could do that, or you can do velocity banking. Did I say you can do velocity banking to get your credit card paid off, or you could do the debt snowball method if you have more cards. So if you are carrying a balance, you really and truly want to get those paid off, not just using the utilization hack right now to get you a new limit. Maybe you're trying to get you a credit card with a 0% APR so that you can transfer a balance, but you just want to make sure that you are able to pay these cards back down as soon as you can. But if you do need to use the credit utilization method, this is a way to do it. Also, say your due date and your statement date doesn't coincide with how your bills run. You can always either get your bill company or whatever to change the due date to coincide with your statement dates, or you can call the credit card company and see if they can change your due date to coincide when your bills are due. And that way you're not being late with your bills as well, but also you're able to keep your credit utilization low with everything kind of falling around in the same time frame, if that makes sense. Another way that you can hide your credit utilization is through business credit. Now, I know some guys be like, well, I don't have a business. Well, cards like Chase Inc., you can get those cards with a sole proprietorship. You do not have to have a business that is registered with your state with an LLC. Now, having that always makes it look better, but Chase, you can always use your social security number as a sole proprietorship. So if you have a side hustle, maybe you drive for Uber or you do something that's on the side, you can always get a business credit card for those expenses. And when you get business credit cards, you want to make sure that you get business credit cards that only report on the business side and not to your personal credit. Now, with that being said, some business credit cards, they will check your personal credit just because they want to see how you are with your personal credit. Because here's the rule of thumb, and this is what I always tell you. When it comes to business credit, they're going to look at your personal credit because they want to see how you are with your money. Because if you're not responsible with your personal money, then you're probably not going to be responsible with business money. And business limits are way higher than a lot of your personal limits going to be. So that's the reason why they're going to take a look at your personal credit, and it may actually be a personal guarantee. But it's okay as long as you're using this credit card responsibly, like you should, even on your personal side. It's never going to be an issue, right? So I recommend the Chase Ink cards. If you want to do that, I recommend the Chase Ink cards. They have the Chase Ink Cash card and they have the Chase Ink Unlimited card. Both of those two cards have no annual fee, and they usually have pretty great sign-up bonuses, like anywhere between $750 to $900. Usually around this time of the year when the holidays are about to come up, that's usually when Chase rolls out the $900 bonus. And they also usually give you 12 months of interest free. So if you do need to transfer a balance, or if you need to run up something that's going to be really expensive, you can put it on that card. As long as you pay it back within those 12 months, you won't pay any interest. If you're interested in doing it with the Chase card, I have my referral link down in the description where we both can be rewarded if you do it that way. So to wrap this video up, the main thing that you want to do when you're trying to manipulate your credit utilization is using the card after the statement has already reported. You want to pay it down as much as you can, getting it under that 30% of whatever your limit is. You want to get it down. If you have several cards, if you're able to, you want to get it down on all those cards under 30% and not use the card again until after it reports after the statement. And that way, they will not be able to see what your actual spend is. They will only see what's reported on the actual statement date. That's it. That's all you have to do. And again, you can always hide it completely and not even worry about it if you use business credit. If you have any more questions, you can always hit me up at starcarter.com. I really hope that you guys like this video. If you did, please give me a thumbs up, leave me a comment, and let me know if you learned anything that you're going to implement to try to get your credit utilization under control. And also, I want to know is if you are interested in learning more about velocity banking, please leave me a comment and let me know if you want me to make a future video talking about how you can use velocity banking to get out of debt. Let me know in the comments, guys. Again, I appreciate your time, and I will see you in the next video.